Welcome to World Racing League. Tier 1, well, Tier 1, the only tier we have. I've already bottled the intro. That's a great start to the week's race. Welcome to World Racing League, Round 4, Season 3. We are at Silverstone today for the sprint race, or the first of the two sprint races this season. To be a little bit more precise, drivers have been told that they can ready up, so we will be getting the green light suit sprint race. Quick one for those of you who don't know how the sprint races work here. It would help if I actually sent the streams link into general. That'll be a really nice help. Anyways, yeah. Stream race. Anyways, as I'm trying to say, one-shot qualifying into a 9-lap sprint race and a one-shot qualifying into a 26-lap race. Hold up, I'll mute for you guys. Okay, I won't do that then. Anyways, same as last week, I'm sending a Discord call with some of my friends. If you hear me talking random crap, you can't hear them, I can hear them. I'm not going crazy, I promise. I say that every week. But anyways, Silverstone, an iconic track. Do I have a clue at any of the corner names? Barely. But I've been pinged once again. As I was, oh my god, why do I have another message? We are waiting for the drivers to get going in qualifying, and it looks like we are going to get going for the sprint qualifying session. One-shot qualifying, anything can happen. So anything can happen. Someone like championship leader Chenky could invalidate his lap. 14 drivers here tonight, or meant to be 14 drivers tonight. We have 13 in the lobby currently waiting on NTalk. It's always waiting on NTalk. Anyways, for qualifying we go. We'll get track map up. We'll get lap data enabled. As it stands, Orion is up in the lead currently. No, Kyle Catterson has took the lead. Kyle took the lead. Ryan second. Chenky is struggling down in fourth and fifth. It's Regan's up to third. Anything can happen here, realistically. We've seen that many a time throughout the last season also, and my TV's going to turn off. But Kyle, Joe, Chenky currently the top three. Ryan fighting. It's all over the place, but Kyle is comfortably out in the lead as it stands for pole position here. Obviously, as I have said already, anything can happen as we come into Maggots and Beckers now as we ride on board with the racing bulls. Into Chapel onto the hangar straight. So 1025. Rico. Last season champion Rico has climbed himself up from nowhere near the top to enter second, but what can he do? We will ride on board with Kyle into the last few corners here. Penultimate corner now. He'll hold it, keeping a turn and sliding around the final corner to the line. Kyle goes fastest with the 126.1. Then it's Rico with the 126.8. Angry Ink will be the last driver to cross the line. But Kyle takes pole, by 0.5 of a second over last season's champion Rico. Rico coming back, taking the Alpine team. And it's exactly half a second gap between Kyle and Rico. Very impressive. Then it's Joe, Chenky, PLH, Regan, Gabriel, Owen, Orion, Rob, Winston, Andy, Angry Ink will start from the back. Winston struggled. Angry Ink took the mediums for the sprint qualifying. Interesting choice from him. Could that pay off in the long run for him? It very well could. We'll find out once we go into the race with Joe up in third, Regan in sixth. We have a little bit of a taste of what their rivalry is like after last week. Hello, Michael. How are you this evening? And it's a wet sprint race. It's going to be 9 laps in the rain. It's been a long time, Michael. It's a long time, in fact, Michael, to the point where last time you spoke in a race chat that I can remember, we weren't even affiliated. Now we are affiliated with Twitch and making money from the streams. Way everyone can be happy, but Silverstone, if we do remember rightly, did bring, well, a very... I'm listening to music in the background, guys. Please don't forget. Hey, 50 out of 50 followers. That is the goal reached. Wow, actually, that is the goal reached. Oh, damn. Right as we're about to go into the race, as we go to the 5 red lights, and it's less than away we go for the British Grand Prix, and it's a slow start in the rain. Everyone opting for the full wet tyres off the start. Kyle with a very good start. Joe and running wide here. He's going to look to join safely as... Oh, he almost sideswiped Rico on the re-entry. But everyone, it's a very weird one because everyone is struggling for grip. Andy had shot behind Angry Ink at the back. Winston on the top 10. Angry Ink with a 10-second penalty for colliding with Andy. And that's a costly 10-second penalty for the McLaren driver. Regan passing championship leader and teammate Chenky as there's a little bit of contact as Chenky will send it down the inside of Regan. Regan will look for the switchback. Can he get it? Chenky will have the inside for this corner. The two Ferrari drivers going wheel to wheel off the start. Chenky's closest championship rival Gabriel in behind them. Chenky has got the lead, but they are going to continue going wheel to wheel, and this could end badly as Regan tucks in behind Chenky going into Cops, and that could have ended very badly if there was contact between the two of them going into Cops there. As Orion struggling for the grip further back. As Orion does look good to have end plate damage, a missing end plate for the Williams driver. I just realised I muted Corey by accident. But further back, PLH making a move past Gabriel, going to try to hug around the outside. Owen is up ahead of Gabriel as well. As PLH loses out to Gabriel. And Orion with that end plate damage. Hello, Kyle. As Orion down to 10th now, getting passed by Rob, as we have one of our other commentators, Kyle and chat. Hello, Kyle. But out in the lead, Kyle is starting to pull away, and Rico, last season's champion, is struggling to stay with him. And that's very interesting. Rico had a very good season last season. Joe down at third, Chenky in fourth, Regan in fifth, Owen in sixth. These four very close to each other, and we know what kind of a rivalry Regan and Joe have. So if Chenky clears Joe, it'll be very interesting to see what will happen. As we'll keep an eye on this battle for a bit. And it looks as if the two Ferraris have decided to settle, one behind the other in the wet here. Letting Chenky lead and try to make the attack on Joe. So we're right on board with Chenky actually. And he just backs a little bit further back going into Megas Medicates. Joe does look to be struggling to get the rear. And yeah, Chenky does have the pace, but he's very much struggling. And by being stuck behind Joe, this is letting Kyle close the gap to him in the championship. And if Chenky doesn't get a podium, this will be the first time this season that he's failed to get a podium. Thank you, Kyle. That's very much appreciated there. Thank you very much. As Kyle Catterson, not the commentator Kyle, the other Kyle, sets a new fastest lap of the race, and Chenky 5 seconds up on his personal best, but further behind, Owen is going to make a lunge on Regan into turn 1 as there's contact between them as there was last week, but Regan holds position as it is. And now the two Ferraris both going drawn into battles here. PLH in 7th, just doing what he's going to do. He's ahead of Gabriel. Gabriel is dropping points to Chenky, and dropping a fair amount of points to Chenky as it stands, as Chenky is going to have the chance to make the run on the other Aston Martin of Joe. He's going to look to the inside. Joe covers the inside. Chenky moves to the outside. Can't get the traction to get around the outside. And yeah, Chenky just not able to get the traction to get around the outside of Joe. His teammate Regan is dropping back as he is having to start to fend against Owen. Chenky does run wide there on the run down towards Cops, as you can just see the rear of him just sliding. Angry Imp with a further penalty of 3 seconds now for track limit infringements. Further back we do have Orion ahead of Winston. Mercedes only got one driver in the points. We do have all 12 not all 12 teams, sorry, all 10 teams represented in today's grid. But yeah, Kyle, 2.6 seconds now the gap to Rico. Very good drive from him in the wet so far as we enter lap 4 in a moment's time with him. So yeah, thank you, and a very good evening to you as well. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Good afternoon if it's afternoon where you are. Obviously, World E-Racing League. World in the name. We do have a fair number of nationalities who have been either currently or have in the past been represented. 38 to be precise. I did the count the other day through the league's old standings and found that. But yeah, Andy, 12 seconds, almost 13 seconds back in agreeing. As I said last week, he's just doing his own thing. You know, if there's a big crash up ahead and 3 drivers are out though, he will gain a point. So he's keeping himself out of trouble, which is good to see. Further up ahead though, Chenky, and this is a beautiful camera angle to see Chenky's battle with Joe. And Chenky will continue to battle with Joe, but these conditions, no DRS enabled, is making it hard for Chenky to really do anything as it stands. And further back, we do see Winston getting close to Orion now in that battle for 10th place. So we have the top 2 who are running away. We have this big midfield pack from 3rd down to 8th. Led and we'll be back in the comments box soon. It will be fun to have you back in the comments box soon. Owen is going to be taking over for next week. I don't know when your next is going to be in the comments box, Kyle, but Owen will be taking over for next week as I will not be there next week. I'm possibly going to be taking over, at least taking over the start for the week after, as I do have the 12 hours of Brands Hatch coming up in a couple of weeks' time for charity, which I am doing, and unfortunately won't make it in time for Gabriel's left the session, so we'll get him back in quickly. We'll re-invite him. But yeah, I have the 12 hours of Bronze Hatch for charity. The charity race I don't really want to pull out of it last minute, but if I have to because of not being able to, if Owen's not able to, I will do that. I'll be unfortunate if I had to do that, but it is what it is, you know. As much as, you know, some people say, oh, it's a charity, yeah, this league does come first. Orion, though, struggling for grip. Winston running wide on the run down towards, I think it's Brooklands here. Orion still with that end plate damage. He hasn't pitted. He feels comfortable enough to still drive with the missing end plate, and he's doing a good job at holding on to the point for the Williams team right now, who do say, as we're looking here, PLH is going wheel to wheel with Owen, and he's going to look to take a wheel to wheel into Maggots and Beckett's. As Gabriel's had a power outage. I have sent you another invite, Gabriel. If you need another one, let me know and I will send another one. Also, did I turn my mic on for this stream? I did turn my mic on for this stream. I had that sudden fear that I didn't. But Owen does defend against PLH's attack, and PLH will remain in P7 in this Grand Prix. But that has let Regan pull away 1.1 seconds ahead of them, still 2 seconds back from his teammate, who will go back on board with his teammate here as he continues his battle with Joe, which has been going on since what feels like lap 1, and I think it was lap 1 when they started battling. As Kyle, 4 seconds now of the gap, time that so it hit 4 seconds as I was saying it. 4 seconds the gap now to Rico. He is having a very good drive out at the front. And he's showing that pace which he showed at Abu Dhabi, which we've missed the last 2 weeks. That proper pace from him, but he's doing a good job. As Joe on the exit, going onto the Wellington Straight, does get the better pace out of the corner, and then Chenky through other sections of the track does gain. So this is just one of them battles which it's 50-50, you know. One place someone gains, but then someone loses in the same place. It's an awkward one to call, really. What's going to happen? Well, going back to Ryan for Williams. Williams down in 8th. Sorry, not 8th, down in 9th with 8 points in the championship. They need points, and again a point here. Haas also didn't need a point. Again, nice 6 points from PLH here today. But the team bottom of the championship currently, Racing Bulls, are on course for a race win and that pole position point from the sprint. As I am very stupid, this is a sprint race, so the points here are down to 8th. That did not click to my head until now. If anyone's been sitting there and wondering why I've been talking about the top 10, please don't judge me. I've just had a blunder. But Kyle continues to lead. The gap now between Joe and Rico is 10 seconds. That's how much the top 2 are sort of just pulling away, and Chenky, championship leader, just isn't able to get past Joe. And I mean, I don't know what Chenky's pace is like at Silverstone. I didn't race in APC earlier this season at Silverstone. I missed that race. I don't even know where he finished in that race. But yeah, no, Chenky seemingly struggling around here today, as he just cannot get onto the podium in the sprint race. It's further back now. Regan is falling into what could be a 3-car battle between himself, as Winston now does get up into the top 10, but it's not into the points, unfortunately. But let's see what he can do. Can he? He gets the switch back on Orion, and Winston is up into the top 10. Winston will look to now possibly try. Oh, there's contact between Winston and Orion going into cops. Neither wanted to back out. Winston came across onto the racing line and made contact with Orion, and it doesn't look to be more damage, as there's more contact, as Winston now losing end plates. So Winston now loses his right end plate as Orion was ahead of him into the Maggots and Beckett's. Orion with a 3-second time penalty. This has now brought Angry Ink into this battle, who has a full front wing, and he's now going to look to launch an attack on Winston, going down to the hangar straight. He can't get it, as Gabriel, I can invite you. There you go, Gabriel. Angry Ink going a little bit deeper and just let Winston remain ahead. Gabriel, who will be hopefully getting back in a moment's time. His power is now back, down in 8th, picking up a point still. Chenky fighting for what could either be 5 or 6 points. 5 points as it is, trying to get to the position where it could be 6 points. If he can get up past Joe, as this battle continues, and this has been an amazing battle. Battle of the season so far, as it is in the wet conditions. I mean, Chinky might argue that his battle in round 1 around Abu Dhabi with Kyle was better, but in my opinion this one, in the wet, able to keep it clean, the two of them, is much better than the one in the dry. As Rico slowly closing the gap as PLH now into Magus and Beckett's Owen is gone. Oh, nearly lost the car there. There was a little bit of contact, I think, between him and PLH into Magus and Beckett. PLH decided, I'm tired of being stuck behind him. I want the points for Haas. And he decided to send it. And Owen is down to 7th. PLH is up to 6th. And he has now sent himself off after Owen. Kyle with a new fastest lap. In that final sector, he's opened half a second to Rico. That is the pace which that Racing Bulls car has. Chenky still behind Joe on the final, or going onto the final lap now. As them 8 laps so far have flown by. As Chenky still battling hard with Joe. Italy v Croatia. Don't think that's ever been a World Cup final in football, but if it has, it's been recreated here. Chenky looking to try to squeeze himself through. He can't though. As again, Joe getting that pace on the exit. Can Chenky get anything here now? It's going to be the case of having to make a late lunge into a corner and trying to keep it clean if he is to get the podium. And he just doesn't look like he's got the traction in a few of these corners. Joe will continue to hold on to 3rd, and when I say hold on, I mean he is clinging on. Well, we'll come back to this in a few moments. Actually, we'll wait a few moments. As onto the hangar straight now goes the race leader Kyle. And we'll come back to this battle between the two of them in a moment time, but Kyle took pole by half a second over Rico, and he's ran away with this race. He opened the gap up early on. He avoided any carnage in turn 1 on lap 1. And now, rounding the final corner for the sprint race in the rain, Kyle will take his 2nd win of the season and wins the British Grand Prix Sprint. PLH further back, making it past Regan, but Rico will take 2nd, and now Chenky has made up to 3rd with a dive. Can Joe hold on? Joe trying to squeeze it. Chenky's on the curb, the two of them go wheel to wheel. Can Chenky? No, he can't. Joe takes 3rd, Chenky takes 4th. PLH has made it past Regan on the final lap to take 5th. Regan will take 6th. Owen will disappointingly, in his opinion, take home 7th place. Gabriel will cross to take 8th place, taking the last points playing position. Then further back, we will have Rob finishing in 9th. Orion is going to cross the line in 10th. Well, that penalty is going to lose him 10th, arguably, as he just doesn't look to have anything in that car. So Winston will take 10th. Orion will take 11th. Angry Ink will take 12th place. And Andy, come through Stowe now, will take 13th place in his first sprint race in World E-Racing League. So, a reminder of the results here. Kyle wins the race 5.2 seconds over Rico, then it's Joe, Chenky, PLH Regan, Owen, Gabriel, then out of the points was Rob, Winston, Orion, Angry Ink, and Andy. In a moment's time we'll go into the one-shot qualifying for the main race. So, that being Kyle's second win of the season, first sprint win of the season. So we go now into sprint qualifying as, well, we'll see who can take pole in the sprint race. Chenky currently provisionally pole, Rico up to second, Kyle who took pole in the sprint down in 8th, Regan up to second. It's a Ferrari 1-2 as the Suns. Joe and Rico both climbing up past Regan. Regan now up in second. I'm not even going to try it. Andy does retire from the session. Not sure what happened there with him, whether he's lost the car or what, but Andy retiring from the session. Kyle now up onto provisional pole, battling with Chenky here, and these two have been battled all the way through Abu Dhabi, will now battle once again in Silverstone by the looks of it. Regan down to 9th after having a decent, down to 10th, sorry, after having a decent first sector. Rico in 3rd, but what can Kyle do? He showed us this season that he has pace to battle with the top drivers. Can he continue to show that here today? As through the second sector, 1024. We don't see what Chenky's time was through the second sector. Well, Kyle, that second sector is definitely his strongest sector. Sector 1, very weak, just not getting him anywhere near it really. But sector 2 seems to be where he thrives around this track. And it looks as if he is going to take his second pole off the race weekend. As Kyle takes pole 3/10 over Chenky. Then it's Rico, Joe, Owen, Rob, Winston, Regan, Angry Ink, Gabriel, Andy did have that as well. You'll get the official qualifying results in a second. But Kyle, 2 poles from 2. So Kyle on pole, Chenky in second, 2/10 back. Then it's Rico, Joe, Owen, Rob, Winston, Regan, Angry Ink. Andy will start 10th after his crash. Then Ryan, PLH and Gabriel all DSQ'd to start in 11th, 12th and 13th. As last season champion Rico, he said earlier that he was washed. He showed me a screenshot of his Steam earlier. Today is the first time he has played F125 since Brazil last season. For those of you who don't remember that was the last race of last season. That was on the 27th of September. Today is the 22nd of November, so almost 2 months since he last touched the game. He picked up a 2nd place in the sprint race, and he's in 3rd currently for this race. So let's see what he can do. Hopefully he can do something special, show us why he is the reigning champion. If not, it is okay though, as he has missed the first 3 races, but coming in a sprint race is a good chance to pick up some points for him. A very good chance to pick up some points for him, I should say. So let's see what he can do. As we are about to go racing here once again in Silverstone for the main race. And off the line we go, and it's a faster start than the sprint race was, as Rob's going to look to send it down the inside. It's a little bit of contact. Kyle takes the lead. Chenky up to 2nd. Andy has dropped to 11th. Angry Ink up to 8th off the start. Owen is now battling Rob. Kyle and Chenky going wheel to wheel. Rico just in behind them, hoping to get something. Joe is in 4th. Owen and Rob still going wheel to wheel. Andy has dropped down to 15th. Ryan and PLH going wheel to wheel as well, as there is a fair few wheel to wheel battles here. As Kyle has got the lead, but Chenky is now trying to pull it back. And Kyle has just said in the Discord just before the race, going for the Grand Slam, watch me lose the lead lap 1. Kyle, I hope that doesn't happen to you. PLH and Ryan further back, still going wheel to wheel. As someone looks to have lost a little bit of their front wing possibly. But Ryan up past PLH now. And this battle for P11 is heating up. Gabriel, looking as Angry Ink just loses the rear of the car. And he's going to have to try to rejoin carefully. Oh, that was very close for the Canadian. It's Gabriel up to 9th now after that bit of rear end loss from Angry Ink as we'll pull up tyres. And every tyre compound is represented on the grid today here. Kyle and Chenky both started on the mediums, and Rico, Joe and Rob have all opted for the soft tyres of the start. Owen and Regan both opted for the hard tyres. Then Winston, Gabriel, Ryan, PLH and Andy have all opted to go for the mediums of the start, and then Angry Ink going for the hard set of tyres. So all the tyres represented on the grid at the start of this race. Kyle already got 6/10 over Chenky. Chenky is going to come under pressure of one of his championship rivals last season, Rico. Obviously Rico won the championship. They were a rival, and this battle for P10 between Ryan and PLH is... Oh, as is contact as we switch to the battle. Ryan does have the DRS. PLH lucky to get away with no damage there. As Regan further up the grid makes a move on Owen for P6 in this Grand Prix, and Ferrari picking up some more very good points here today, as they have all season long. As I say, that they've been good all season long. 16-point gap at the top of the championship going into this weekend over Aston Martin. They had two drivers in the points, so did Aston Martin, so not much there. But Regan is now looking for the move on Rob. Down into Stowe, wheel to wheel, the Ferrari gets the move done, and Regan is up into P5 on them hard tyres, and he's using them to his advantage by the looks of it. Chenky goes fastest lap off the race, closing that gap to Kyle at the front. These top four have started to run away, just a little DRS strain with them, but they have opened the gap significantly. 3.3 seconds the gap between Joe to Regan. I'll say this sarcastically, two very, very best of friends, as Owen and Rob go wheel to wheel again. And this is bringing Winston in with a chance. Rob drops behind Winston. And Joe, as Rob, what's happened here? He's off. Oh, he almost ended up in the wall there. As I'm not sure what's happened to Rob, but he is now down into 13th. And that's very odd what's happened to him there. He just lost the car mid-corner and almost spun it off into the wall, but he's kept out of the wall, kept it away from getting any damage, and he can now set off and start pushing again to try and gain positions. That puts PLH and Ryan both into the points paying positions now, after they've been battling over that final points paying position. Further ahead, Regan gets a 3-second time penalty, and this is a straight where those of you who possibly remember Season 1 will remember Regan's absolute shambolic performance at Silverstone here, when he ended up in the wall from a collision with Gio. Further back though, Winston is all over the back of his teammate Owen's car, but behind them is Gabriel, who's currently sitting second in the championship, looking to try to gain something decent out of this race to try to reduce the gap which Chenky opens the championship by. Rico, Joe and Rob will possibly have to pit soon, but last Thursday, not the Thursday, just being the Thursday before, I was commentating WeRL console tier 2 here. One of the drivers started on the soft tyres. Took them 8 laps before they decided to come into the pits. So going on the softs is possible to go along here if they can manage their tyre wear, as Joe has chopped out the DRS off of Rico, so the top 3 now in a bit of a DRS rain, but Rico struggling to hold on to the front 2 here. As we will now look further back to this battle, the two Mercedes versus the Ferrari for P5. As it's not really a battle because it's still a bit of a DRS strain, but Regan the only driver with a penalty so far in this race. you talking to me? Chenky is closing the gap to Kyle at the front, as we're on lap 5 of 26 now. Chenky has the DRS open and right on board with the Ferrari driver, as Kyle runs slightly deep, but Chenky can't really make anything of it. As Angry Ink picks up a 3-second time penalty for track limits on his return from a few races missed. 13 drivers tonight. Endok ended up not appearing online at all. So yeah. Further back though, PLH has put onto the rear of this battle for P6 now, as Regan is starting to pull away from Owen. Nearly 2 seconds the gap between him and Owen now. Winston is all over the back of him, and Winston will now move up into P6. So the two Irishmen are in P5 and P6 as it stands. As PLH is now all over the back, and someone is in. Who's that? That is Owen on the hard tyres, coming in for a very early pit stop. As we'll have a look at whether this is for damage or what. It's not for damage. He's onto a new set of hard tyres. And that's a very unusual stop from Owen. He's gonna have to pit again, no matter what happens now, for either mediums or softs. That's very early, very unusual. Pin that early from hards to another set of hards, and he will now come out the pits behind Rob. Further up, Angry Ink and Andy having their own little battle for P10 now. Yeah, they're in their battle for P10. It will be provisionally P11 depending on what happens. Further back, Owen now on the fresh hards will make a move on the inside of Rob. Rob will look for the switchback, doesn't have the grip. And Owen out of the pits and making his way up the grid now. As further forward, here it is. Kyle and Chenky still leading the race. Rico, our reigning champion, took the number 1 for the season, and looking at the front left there, it is starting to get a fair bit of graining on it and starting to get worn, and he's going to try to hold it close enough. Joe is into the pits. He was one of those who started on the soft tyres. He's in now at the end of lap 6, going on to lap 7, onto the medium tyres. And where will he come out in relation to Owen is the question. He's going to come out behind Angry Ink and Andy. But he is going to come out ahead of Owen. As we'll ride on board now with Andy, as he's in DRS of Angry Ink, and will he go for the move? That's the big question. DRS is open. Angry Ink moves slightly to the inside to defend, and early braking from Andy, late braking from Angry Ink. And these two in their battle now for P9. Angry Ink does start to pull away. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on as the race continues. Winston now sitting in 5th. Regan's up to 4th. Winston's in 5th. In a battle with PLH for 5th. PLH now. Not. Oh, he is in DRS range. And he does have the DRS open. So I was wrong when I was about to say he's not in DRS, but he's in DRS. And now look further back. Andy in DRS opens the DRS. And he's now racing Rico into the pits now. Very interested to see where Rico comes out in relation to Joe. We know the undercut in this game is strong. Joe went onto the mediums, so Joe is most likely going to have to pay again. Rico onto the mediums as well. And now the question is, where does he come out in comparison with Joe, who has caught up to the battle between Andy and Angry Ink? Now Rico is going to come out right behind Angry Ink as there's a little bit of contact between them, as I don't think he was quite expecting Angry Ink in the McLaren to break that early for the corner, by the looks of it. But Rico does come out ahead of Joe, as Joe now makes the move and Andy look easy, as Rico was off track there. In the defense from Angry Ink, putting Rico off the track. Now Joe will look to launch an attack on Rico as he's stuck behind the McLaren. As Angry Ink looks to defend the outside line going towards Cops, there's a little bit more contact to be right on board with Joe watching it. As Rico now has cleared the McLaren, who will still have DRS on him. Further up ahead, PLH making the move on Winston. Two front runners, the leaders into the pits, Kyle and Chenky both in after 8 laps on the mediums, saying these are the tyres now, the tyres are going. As Chenky and Kyle onto the hards. As Chenky right behind Kyle, they're both onto the hards. They all look to take these hard tyres to the end of the race now. Ryan also into the pits, looks like he's following them. Regan leads a race. Rico 3-second time penalty for track limits. But Regan out in the lead now, leads a race. Don't think we've ever said that before in here. Chenky and Kyle looking to already reignite their battle further back. Rico 1.9 behind. He's gone for a different strategy to them. And this is the thing which is nice about Silverstone here. Rob is also pitted further back onto mediums as well, like Rico did and like Joe did. But this is the thing which is nice about Silverstone. Many different strategies have seen Regan with another 3-second time penalty, as we'll have a look at the penalties. 16 seconds for Ryan, 3 seconds for Rob, 6 seconds for Regan, 3 seconds for Angry Ink, and 3 seconds for Rico. As we'll go back to the tyres, keep an eye on who's on what tyre. Well, Regan looking to go long, and I'll refer back to the WeRL race I commentated here a couple of weeks ago. One of the drivers did take their hards from the start of the race, nearly 22 laps. I think it was 21 laps he ended up gambling on. Got a puncture just before the pit lane, as Gabriel into the pits after 9 laps, on his mediums, and he's going to pit, most likely for the hard compound of tyres. As Rico sets a new fastest lap, Gabriel, where will he come out? Andy is into the pits. They pick up an unfortunate 10-second penalty in the pits. I got it right this time around. Those of you who remember, and Kyle is watching the stream, I'm sure you will remember the blunder which I had last season. Gabriel out in P10. Comes out ahead of his good friend and former teammate Orion. Yeah, going back to saying, if any of you watched the race last season, Kyle was I think he is in the stream still. He'll remember what happened in the pit lane. That incident which I got clipped and I need to make a soundboard out of. Yeah, that was a bit embarrassing. Also the track where we had a talk about sandwiches last season. As Entok has just said, it's but yeah, we are here, and we will continue to race as Regan out in the lead in this Grand Prix. We'll continue to lead this Grand Prix, but the gap between him and PLH is slowly it's opening, then it's closed, and Winston has lost DRS to PLH now. He sits in third for the Mercedes team. Kyle goes fastest lap of the race, Rob picking up a 3-second time penalty further back. As now Angry Ink is into the pit lane, as he picks up a 10-second for speed in the pits as well. Andy went onto the hard tyres, and now he's going to try to pull the undercut on Angry Ink. It'll be interesting to see if it can work or not. Angry onto a set of softs, so he's committed to a two-stop strategy. That's a very interesting choice from the McLaren pit crew. Angry Ink comes out on the softs 2.2 seconds ahead of Andy, but committing to a two-stop. Further up ahead, Ryan now looking to see if he can have a launch on Gabriel, as he does run wide on the exit of Cops. Interesting line. And now someone's off. Winston's off. He was in third and he's gone. And that's not a puncture, he's just lost the car. PLH into the pits, Winston into the pits. I'll mute for you guys. PLH into the pits, onto the hards, coming out of the pits now, Winston into the pits. Onto the hard tyres and out of the pit box. He is going to come out down in 10th after his spin. PLH will come out in 9th. They are by far clear off Angry Ink and Andy further behind. Andy has done well to catch up to Angry Ink, who's come out on the softs. And Rob Sell down in last, just struggling to get anything out of this race as it is at the minute. Rico and Joe, they're going to look to be pitting again. The longest we've seen so far is about 11 laps on his tyres. What will be interesting is, when does Regan decide to come into the pits? He's one of the two who started on the hard tyres. Owen's already been in the pits. When will Regan decide to go in the pits? As we enter lap 13, and Regan still leads for Ferrari. Regan's decision to stay out could actually be a small one. If he can slow Kyle down and let Chinky get ahead, this could be a very good team play from the Ferrari team. And that is very interesting to say, and a very weird sentence to say the Ferrari strategy might work for once. But it could work for once. As Regan running wide again, and now Kyle is within a second of him, and now this is where we'll see, does the Ferrari strategy imply slowing down a championship rival for Chinky to get Chinky in place? No, he's going to let Kyle go through with ease. So Kyle now leads the race. Chinky is down to third. Regan is in the pits. That's why he didn't fight it, because he's pitting this lap. And he gets the car slowed down before the pit lane. And Chinky and Kyle will now go wheel to wheel again, as Kyle has now actually opened the gap beyond DRS. And this might be the chance which Kyle needed actually, to open that gap up and start running away with this race. He could have just needed that excuse to get Chinky out of the DRS. We just need that extra boost to get Chinky out the DRS and stop pulling away, and this is now very interesting. There's Rico, reigning champion, down in third. And reminder, only one person has gone back-to-back titles in the league's history, and that's going from SFCR to WeRL, and that was Stab Buddy Season 1. of this. He won the last season of SFCR, won the first season of this. We are still yet to have a back-to-back champion in the league itself since it became this. Well, we've only had 2 seasons. This is the 3rd season, and as it stands, Chenky is on thing to go and win the title. As we'll have a quick look. That's not what I'm looking for. Fastest lap. Kyle does currently have the fastest lap of the race. A minute and 8 between Kyle to Rob in last. So everything's still to play for at the minute, and the closest battle on track. As there's contact between Gabriel and PLH, PLH loses his front end plate, and Gabriel, as Orion has gone round, as there was contact between Owen and Orion. Former employer and former driver, Owen, former employer of Orion, puts Orion into a half spin, and Orion is down into 9th place now. And that was very dirty from Owen. From the little glimpse I seen of what happened, as Gabriel gave PLH end plate damage. As Gabriel goes into the back of PLH, and Gabriel is gonna have to be careful. He's treading on fine wire. Regan is now in 8th, and he's looking to push to gain. And he flies past Gabriel like it's nothing on them fresh medium tyres. And PLH, a little bit of a lock, and Regan is going to look to try to send a wheel to wheel with him. He's going to try to go around the outside. He's going to look to switch back onto the inside, going on the run down to Cops, right on board with it. There's a little bit of tyre rubbing there, Ryan with a 3-second time penalty further back. We gotta love the F1 camera angles. Owen is going to try to defend against PLH. Regan is going to try to look to attack PLH. As Gabriel runs wide. Rico, 10-second penalty in the pit lane. And that's unfortunate for him. Joe is also into the pits. They're both on the 2-stop here. PLH has made the move past Owen. Owen's going to look to go down the inside. Owen's contact. It was a dive bomb. Rico was trying to give him the room. It was a dive bomb, and Owen loses the position to Regan. Now Regan going to look to go down the inside of PLH. Regan makes a move down the inside of PLH. And Regan up onto the podium. It's a double podium for Ferrari as it stands, but this battle is heating up. As Gabriel is going to look to go down the inside of Owen. It's contact between former team principal and driver yet again. Gabriel this time making the contact with Owen. And going back to last week, whilst this is all going on, we can confirm that last week penalties were handed out. We will get the steward report up. Steward's decisions. So, incident 1, which was Gabriel picks up a 3-second time penalty. Winston has now joined in this. No, he hasn't. Sorry, Rico. That's what I was trying to say. Has now joined in this battle. He is now on the back of Orion. He's going to look to go to the inside of Orion. He's going to make the move past Orion easily. He's now going to look to try and make the move on the inside of Owen. And 2 moves down the straight, he gets the move done. Orion also now up past Owen. Owen now deciding time to box. He's in, and he's going to come off the hard compounded tyres. As he's just lost 2 positions in one corner, and he's now decided it's time to come in the pits. And what tyres will he go on to? He loses position to his teammate, he loses position to Joe as well. And onto the medium to go is Angry Ink. When will he decide it's time to pit? He's in this battle for P11 right now with Andy. And it's... No! He was going to come in the pits, he decided last second not to. That front left is very worn as we're right on board. As we've seen with that little bit of a walk up there, it is insanely worn. Oh, and down in 10th. Mercedes, as it stands, picking up 5 points from Mercedes race. No, Andy just waiting for his time to bite. Further out ahead. Chenky 1.7 behind. Kyle. Now when will Angry Ink decide to pit? But going back to where I was, because as Rob has gone off, and he's struggling to keep it under control here. Andy is gonna look. Andy had a little look onto the inside, but nothing happening. As Angry Ink is into the pits this time round. And now it's 10 seconds for speeding into the pit lane again for Angry Ink. I say again, Gabriel and Orion both into the pits onto mediums. Will Angry Ink choose to go onto this time? He's done 7 laps on them softs. It looks like it's mediums lined up for him. Rico now on the back of, as Angry Ink retires from the session in the pit lane. Rob now into the pits. Andy up into 10th. Could Andy get a top 10 if he can defend against Gabriel? Rico is up past Regan now. And the double podium for Ferrari is gone. Kyle is in the pits, interestingly enough. Chenky is still out, as Chenky could actually be seen in the pits sooner rather than later. Kyle will come out in second behind Rob, who's been in the pits. And now, perhaps is a 2-stop, or perhaps Chenky can do what he did last time out. Make everyone think that he's going to have to pit, but not pit. 23 seconds a gap. 7 laps to close the gap down for Kyle. Regan with another penalty. Ryan has made the move up into the top 10 now. Past Andy. And you'll look to try to possibly keep on fighting for the position. As Kyle is going to try to set his sights now on closing down the Croatian of Chenky. Chenky, can he hold on to a third race win in a row? Third main race win in a row, we should say. Ryan has pulled away from Andy for P10. And now Kyle is looking to close the gap. He's closed it by about 3 seconds this last lap. But that's not enough with 6 laps to go. 3 times 6, that's 18 seconds. He'll still be 2 seconds short. He needs to look more like 4 seconds a lap to have a chance. We'll see what he can do. 28.7 is his fastest lap of the race, and it looks like it's a strong point. It looks as if it is purple sector 1 for him. Andy is now in the pits for another stop. He could have tried to take the hard CM, but he decided, no, I'm not going to try that. I'm down in 11th. I'm not in the points. I'm going to pit anyway. We're interested to see what tires he goes on to. 0.5 of a second up for Kyle. He's really pushing the Racing Bulls car around. Chenky doesn't pit yet again. He's going to continue to stay out. And we'll have a look. And that front left is getting relatively grained now, or relative amount of graining. Kyle, 28-1, new fastest lap of the race. And now it's going to be close between Rob and Andy. Andy does come out ahead of Rob. Rob down in 12th, struggling today for the McLaren. McLaren looking to blank and not get any points. Same with the Sauber team. Sauber, without Crancy showing today. We're going back to last week's penalty report. Incident 1, which involved Rob here and Andy here, these two, down in 11th and 12th. I saw it on stream and I said it could be a penalty. The stewards drove 2.5 tenths down on his best through the first sector. He's behind PLH now. We're going back to what I was saying, 16.6 seconds gap now. But Rob did receive 3 license points for the power brake check on Andy, which resulted in Andy losing part of his front wing. That is what the stewards came up to regarding that incident. Furthermore, the lap 1 incident involving Regan, Owen and Joe, after deliberation between the stewards who were involved in it, they came up with the decision that it was for PLH losing the rear of the car there. His front left is looking very much more. Joe opened 5th. Chenky's front left is not looking in a good position either. And it's only 5 seconds of the last 2 laps that Kyle's managed to close the gap. Coming up to 6 seconds, he's not closing the gap by enough to win the race unless Chenky gets a very late puncture. We've seen it happen to Chenky. Imola last season, he fell victim to it. And he'll be hoping to not have the same again happen to him. It could be going through his head what happened last season. He's got to try to manage the tyres now. His front left is not looking nice. But Owen, for the incident between him, Joe and Regan on lap 1, did receive 4 license points for a severe collision, resulting in a driver not finishing the race and having to retire due to the damage. Chenky's in the pits now. That's Chenky. Bites the bullet, pits, and now, how much time will he lose to Kyle? Kyle, who's going for the Grand Slam, could now get the Grand Slam. Chenky in onto the soft tyres. Lap 23 now for the race leader. Kyle is going to pass him. And now the question is, when or how far back does Chenky come out? And actually saying about how far back, he's going to come out behind Rico. And it's almost 10 seconds. It's 11 seconds actually. As Andy is off. Andy's had a bit of a spin there. I don't think he's damaged his car, but he's had a bit of a spin into the grass. No damage though on the Sauber. Owen making the move past PLH for P7. PLH in 9th now. And it's going to be close between him and Ryan on the pit exit in this battle. And these two are going to be in a battle for 9th place now. There's a yellow flag as Ryan has gone straight, and that's very interesting. Very interesting there. And now we have Joe and Regan battling for P4 in this Grand Prix. As which side will Joe go? Joe goes to the outside. Regan is going to have to defend against this, and Regan's gone! Regan spins! As there is contact between Joe and Regan. And Regan will not be happy. Regan will not be happy about the incident at all. So Joe down. Oh, Joe opened for Regan down to 6. Yes, you are a fault for me not having a frying pan, shush. Ouch. Let's say those Joe's fault. I agree with you, Kyle. I mean, the two of them have heated rivalry going on, and it's not good to see that, but I do agree that does look like it's Joe's fault, and I'm sure Regan is going to have a lot to say about it afterwards. Yeah, Regan's going to have a lot to say, I am sure about that. If he ends up coming into the post-race interviews, Chenky takes fastest lap, and Kyle, going for the Grand Slam, is going to have to find a fastest lap now for the fastest lap point, and Chenky is taking that point away from him. Chenky is also on the back of Rico, as Rico spins it on his own. Never mind Chenky having to make the overtake on Rico. Rico's made it easy for him, as Rico's gone again. No, Rico, get going. There's a reset track to get it going. No, Rico, that's not good to see you losing it like that. And you have Joe on the back of you now. And Chenky has closed the gap by 4 seconds to Kyle now. So Gabriel and Orion both in the pits. They're coming in end of lap 24 onto the softs. They're going to go for the fastest lap point possibly. Gabriel wanting to reduce the gap between him and Chenky by going for the fastest lap point. And God help me when Regan starts going on about Joe. And God help me if he decides to do the post-race interview and he starts going on about Joe. God help us all in that situation. As Joe just losing the time to Rico. But Kyle on the final lap, not the fastest lap, could be the fastest lap, you never know. I completely forgot. But yeah, Joe and Regan's heated rivalry, as I was saying. Yes, they have a heated rivalry, but you don't want to see something like that happening, spinning out someone deliberately. Yeah, Regan, in play missing. He is going to get P6, however. Unless his penalties unenable that. No, he's in nicely. Rico's going to lose the podium on penalties, however. As Kyle going through Maggots and Beckett's, lapping Orion in the process. Orion decided to go in the softs. He's not looking to get the Kyle will round the final corner to go on to, or not round the final corner, rounding so sorry, but now he'll come in to go around the final corner, and Kyle will take the race win today and win the British Grand Prix. Chenky will come home to take second, and what is looking at the moment like he's took the fastest lap. Rico is going to on track take home third position, but where will he drop to with the penalties? So Rico crosses the line in third. Joe will take third place though by the penalties. Rico down to fourth. Now will Winston jump Rico on penalties or not? I don't think he will. You'll have to check. No, he won't. So Rico will take fourth. Winston will take fifth. So Regan takes sixth. Winston fifth. Regan sixth. PLH spins it! Right at the end, he spins it. And PLH will cross the line in 7th. Owen will come to take 8th place now, as he's got a puncture. That's why he's going so slow. 9 level tyres and he's got a puncture. So he'll take 8th place. Gabriel will take 9th place. Andy took 11th. Roberts took 12th. Ryan will take 10th. So, we all get race. So Kyle takes the race win, Chenky in second, Joe in third, Rico finishes fourth, Winston fifth, Regan in sixth, PLH in seventh, Owen in eighth, Gabriel in ninth, Ryan in 10th, and he finishes in 11th, Robin 12th. Angry Ink doesn't finish the race. Overall this weekend, Kyle has closed the gap to Chenky by 10 points. Joe, 2 points lost to Chenky this weekend. Gabriel, however, losing 20 points to Chenky this weekend. That's a heavy loss for him this weekend, but Kyle, 33-point gain, plus the 2 poles and a fastest lap, is 36. He's had a very good weekend indeed. We will see you next week. We will see you next week for round 5 at... Let's check where round 5 is before we end this stream. Round 5 in Spain. We will have post-race interviews. We had last week's uploaded... We had last week's uploaded into YouTube rather than streaming it, since we only had one person. But we'll be either doing the same or we'll be going live, depending on how many people. So until then, see you. That's not how to end the stream.